The text has been received and returned exactly as provided, without additions or changes. The story of Venerable Sariputta, the Buddha's foremost disciple in wisdom. Just imagine, over 2,500 years ago in the ancient land of India, there lived a young man, brilliant, sharp-minded, born into a noble Brahmin family. His given name was Upatissa, but today we know him by a name that carries deep reverence, Sariputta, the son of Sari and the wisest disciple of the Buddha. From a seeker of truth, Upatissa was born in the village of Nalaka near the great city of Rajagaha. His mother's name was Sari, which is why people later called him Sariputta, the son of Sari. From a young age, Upatissa showed signs of remarkable intelligence. He had a sharp mind, strong reasoning, and more than anything else, a deep thirst for truth. But no matter how much he studied, how many rituals he performed, or honors he received, something inside him remained empty. One day, after watching a performance by wandering ascetics, he felt a sudden, powerful awakening. Together with his closest friend, Kolita, who would later be known as Venerable Moggallana, they made a life-changing decision to leave behind worldly pleasures and begin the search for ultimate truth, meeting the guide. Their search brought them to the spiritual teacher Sanjaya, who was well known at the time. But after some time, they both realized that Sanjaya's teachings could not lead them to true liberation. Then, one day near Rajagaha, something extraordinary happened. Sariputta saw a monk walking silently along the road, his steps calm, his eyes bright and compassionate. That monk was Venerable Assaji, one of the Buddha's very first disciples. Sariputta approached him and asked, "Venerable sir, who is your teacher, and what is the teaching you follow?" Assaji replied humbly, "I am still new to the path and I cannot explain much, but I can share a little." Then he spoke a short verse, just a few words, but powerful enough to change a life. Of all things that arise from a cause, the Tathagata has explained the cause and also their cessation. This is the teaching of the great sage. That was it. But those few lines hit Sariputta like lightning. In that very moment, he attained the first stage of enlightenment. Stream entry, Sotapanna, meeting the Buddha, becoming the foremost in wisdom. With a heart full of joy, Sariputta hurried to find Kolita. When Kolita heard what had happened, he too was deeply moved, and not long after, he too became a stream enterer. It was as if, after wandering in the desert, they had finally found water. They immediately set off to Veluvana Monastery, Bamboo Grove, where the Buddha was staying. The Buddha, knowing they were coming, was waiting. When the two young men arrived, they were greeted by the radiant, peaceful presence of the Buddha. No words were needed. Just by seeing him, they knew, this is the true teacher we have been seeking. They knelt down and asked to join the monastic order. The Buddha simply said, "Come, O bhikkhus, the Dhamma has been well taught. Live the holy life to bring an end to suffering." With words, they were ordained as monks, disciples of the Buddha. Enlightenment and greatness. In less than 2 weeks, Sariputta, with his profound wisdom and tireless effort, attained arahantship, the final liberation from the cycle of birth and death. From then on, he became one of the 2 chief disciples of the Buddha, alongside Venerable Moggallana. And the Buddha declared, "Among all my disciples who possess great wisdom, Sariputta is the foremost." The story of Venerable Sariputta, the Buddha's foremost disciple in wisdom. In all the monks with great wisdom, Sariputta is the foremost. Not only wise, Sariputta also had the ability to explain the Dhamma clearly, deeply, and logically, helping those with doubts to understand and strengthen their practice. He was also likened to a deputy Buddha, someone whom the Buddha trusted to teach, explain, and care for the community when needed. The remarkable thing is that, despite being praised as the wisest, Sariputta was never arrogant. He was always humble, respectful to the Buddha, compassionate to the Sangha, and treated everyone as a kind elder brother in the great family of the monks. Someone once asked, "How can someone so intelligent be so gentle and patient?" Sariputta simply smiled and gently replied, "Because I know that true wisdom is not for defeating others, but for understanding and loving them." See, wisdom with humility. Sariputta, hailed as the wisest disciple of the Buddha, was not only a profound scholar, but also an exemplary model of humility. You see, wisdom can sometimes lead to arrogance, but for Sariputta, it was the opposite. The deeper he understood the Dhamma, the more he felt small in the vastness of truth. He lived, he lived as a younger brother among the community, always remembering the words of his teacher. Once, Sariputta was sitting under a tree in the forest when a young monk approached him. The monk, perhaps due to misunderstanding or arrogance, spoke harshly to Sariputta. Upon hearing this, Sariputta did not react angrily or try to defend himself. He simply bowed his head and said gently, "If I have done anything to upset you, I ask for your forgiveness." The young monk was taken aback, speechless. How could such a great master like Sariputta apologize to him? Soon after, the monk came to his senses, bowed, and asked for forgiveness. The Buddha, knowing of this, spoke to the community. You should learn from Sariputta. Wisdom is like the earth. It can be made clean or dirty by anyone. Like water, it washes the hands and feet, and it does not hold on to anything. Like the wind, it blows everywhere, unconcerned. The mind of the wise is like that, tolerant, humble, and not attached. Sariputta. Sariputta was also known for his absolute respect for the Buddha. Even though he had attained arahantship and no longer experienced birth and death, his wisdom was equal to that of the greatest saints. He always regarded the Buddha as the greatest teacher. Once, after giving a very profound discourse, a monk praised him. "Wonderful, Venerable, your teaching is no less than that of the Buddha." Sariputta smiled and gently shook his head, saying, "Do not compare like that. The light of the sun cannot be compared to the light of a small oil lamp. I am only the one holding the lamp, and the bright light is from the Buddha." Every step, every word, and every gesture of Sariputta radiated calm, humility, and wisdom. He did not need to show off. His simplicity and kindness were the most powerful teaching for the Sangha. And this is what made his wisdom great. Not because he knew many things or had sharp reasoning, but because his wisdom was coupled with love and humility. A true saint does not need to be praised, for his silence speaks louder than any words. When Sariputta knew his time to enter nirvana was near, he returned to his hometown to visit his elderly mother, who had not yet believed in the Buddha's teachings. There, he used his wisdom and compassion to explain the Dhamma to her. In the end, his mother attained enlightenment and deeply believed in the three jewels. Afterward, Sariputta peacefully lay down, without pain, without fear that flickers out when the wind stops blowing. It's blowing. And today, we still speak of him with deep reverence. A person of extraordinary wisdom, yet always gentle. A person who was closest to the Buddha, yet never arrogant. A person who dedicated his entire life to guiding others on the path to enlightenment.